All right. We are live for September 25th podcast. Super excited. I love to come on here and do these little chats with everyone. Um, so give it a second to kind of get going and see if anyone's gonna pop on and join us live today. Streaming in from my Facebook community as well as going here live on YouTube. Um, Super excited. This is the first time I'm doing live on YouTube. I wish I'd done this the whole entire time I was doing this podcast. But today we're going to be talking about two different subjects, but they actually make sense together. So we're going to be talking about how to and why putting yourself first is not selfish. It is not, being self-centered. It is not any of those negative things that you hear people say all the time. It's not any of those things. Now, it can be some of those things depending on how you go about self-care. So, self-care should be you taking care of yourself first, but you taking care of yourself first should not hurt somebody else, right? Now, that's the big difference. So, for example, if you are getting up and going to the gym every single morning and starting your day that way and coming home and then getting ready for work and going to work, well, your self care regimen is not impacting anybody else. However, if you're a single parent and you are going to the gym at dinner time and not leaving your children with any food, then your self care is selfish, right? Because you're not taking care of the children who rely on you. So there's a million and one different examples that I could come up that, differentiate between good self care and being selfish. And I'm sure you all could probably come up with even more than I could come up with. But after the past week since the last episode, I've had a lot of conversations with people, and the balance of self care has come up a lot. And I figured it was a really good time for me to, you know, kind of cover it here on today's podcast. So, yeah, that's not going to stand. I'm just going to try and stand my phone up and record at the same time. Um, and oftentimes, what came up in the past week too with the conversations I was having is people were being told that they were selfish because they were doing things for themselves. They were, I don't know, going and getting their nails done or going and getting a massage or various different things like that. And now doing things for yourself should not equal being selfish, right? Um, if you want to go and get your nails done, then go and get your nails done. I can't imagine, unless you absolutely can't afford it and you're taking food out of somebody else's mouth because you're getting your nails done, then that probably is pretty selfish and probably should be something that you should, maybe reconsider if you're taking food out of your children's mouths so you can go get some nice fancy nails done. So I would encourage you all to look at if you're not putting yourself first, if you're not taking the time to do things for you so that you feel healthy and whole every single day, or more days than not, right? Because more days than not is better than never and none. I would encourage you to take a look at why. I find, myself included, I find self-care is one of the hardest things for people to do. And some of it is you weren't taught how to take care of yourself. You weren't taught the importance of taking care of yourself um, through various different things that can take place during your growing up years, during your early 20s, your 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever it might be. Um, I recently created a short form video on TikTok, and it was it was all about that. It was all about, selfish and self-care, and, some lovely person had commented that they were, I believe, 56 years old, and for the first time in their life, they were just now starting to take care of themselves and do things for themselves and do things that they wanted to do. That's amazing, right? It is never too late to switch up what you were doing and step into the shoes of good, healthy self care because we are worthy. We are worthy of taking care of ourselves. We are worthy of doing things for ourselves. We are worthy of buying that pair of shoes. We are worthy of going away for that weekend. We are worthy of sleeping a little bit later. The floors are always going to need to be cleaned. The toilets are always going to need to be cleaned. Laundry is always going to need to get done. Food shopping and cleaning and errands and, you know, checking your mail and paying your bills. Like all of that stuff is always going to need to get done. But if you're not doing it at your best optimal self, taking care of yourself, nourishing your body, your brain, the environment around you, making sure that, your space around you is nice and peaceful and calming. Um, this is my little office nook area inside of my bedroom. So as you can see over here is my work stuff. I have a picture of you can't see the full picture, but I have a picture of not all of my coaching group because some people couldn't come, but a good amount of my coaching community, my two coaches, and then everyone who was able to attend. And one of my coaches' wife's in there with a few of her family members, I believe. But there was, I think, 17 of us that went out to dinner one night. We had a blast. We had two huge tables. They did, balloon hats and all that stuff, and it was a whole week's worth. And, I have children, and my children stayed at home. They stayed at home with their other parent, and I went and I enjoyed myself, and I had laughs, and I created great memories, and we had so much fun. So doing those things for yourself because they're going to make you the best version of yourself is extremely important. And over on this side, this is my bureau right here. This is a picture of my daughter. She just graduated high school. Um, but and this thing over here on the ground is my plaque from my coaches that fell off the wall when I was in South Carolina. Um, so my little it's very small, my little workspace here, but it's everything that I need, right? It's in my bedroom is set up the way that I want. I do have a brick and mortar office too, but I don't pay for Wi-Fi there because I'm not there that often. So I am mainly here. I splurged and got myself a really nice seat so that way now I can sit and it doesn't hurt my back. My other one was hurting my back. So doing things for yourself that does not come at somebody else's expense is not selfish. Um, and when we take care of ourselves as best we can, that's when we are the best version of ourselves for everyone else. I just recently went away for the weekend, and it was raining, and the plan was to go to the beach and watch the sunset on a beach in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And it's a really cool beach, beautiful sunset. We did it a few years ago. And that's the one thing I was looking forward to this whole year that was just for me, right? Hey, Annette, thanks for popping on. Um, this past weekend, my trip, this was the one thing that was for me and for me only. And it rained all weekend. So not only did I not get to go to the beach, I didn't get to walk along the beach. I didn't get to watch a sunset. I didn't get to do any of the things that I planned to do going to a beach town. Um, However, we did wake up Saturday morning. We did take a nice, like 2-mile stroll in like the beach wooded area, which was nice. It was just spitting out a little bit. It wasn't fully raining. Um, and then we went back and we started our day, and then we just kept checking to see, what things there were to do when it was raining, which there isn't much. So we just popped around to place to place to place, and we just did things, and we made the best of it. And then we went to the food store. We got ourselves each a dessert. I went with my cousin. We got ourselves each a dessert, and we went back. We took our beach chairs out of the car. We put them in the hotel room. We set them up, poured ourselves each, a glass of wine, and I ate my dinner. She ate her dinner, and then we just sat and talked. We drank our wine. We laughed, and then we had dessert. And a couple hours after that, we just went to bed. So we made the best of it, right? We didn't sit there and complain like, "Oh, I'm such a bummer, like it's raining, blah blah blah." Like I was bummed. I'm like, "Ah, that really stinks." Like this was the one thing that I was doing for myself this year, just solely for myself. And wasn't able to do it, but I'm like, "You know what? Whatever. I still had fun." And I wasn't at home. I wasn't adulting. I was disconnected from my business. I wasn't online, none of that stuff, except to I even forgot to send my Dirty 30 crew their reminder on, Friday because I woke up late Friday morning. I was all discombobulated. So, um oh, and that you're sitting in the Home Depot parking lot listening. Um, so I encourage you all to improve your self-care. Improve your self-care. I say improve because I know there's things you're already doing that you're doing to take care of yourself, even if it's a cup of coffee in the morning. I encourage you to look at your self-care regimen and improve your self-care. Maybe add one thing. Doesn't need to be a week's vacation, right? But just maybe add one thing to your plate to improve self-care. So, excuse me. So now I'm going to go over some healthy habits. Now, these are things, some ideas that you may or may already be doing, but ways to increase the healthy habits that you're doing every single day. Number one is sleep. Now, if anybody knows any of the scientific reason behind it, um, going to bed every night at the same time and waking up each day at the same time, it keeps your biorhythm. I'm not sure if it's fully called that, but that's what I call it. It keeps your biorhythm on point. So now that doesn't mean that you can't go to bed, at 11 o'clock and wake up an hour later, on Friday or Saturday night or whatever, if you have to get up, Monday through Friday morning. Um, but basically try to keep your sleep schedule the same for the most part because it keeps your body circadian rhythm all in the same. Now, it is recommended that you sleep with your room as dark as possible. I have actually light block curtains in my bedroom that on the weekends, I don't do it during the week because I get up really early, but on the weekends, I close the other curtain. One of them is always closed because it's where the air conditioner is, but the other one I close, and it's so I don't wake up with the sun, when the sun wakes up, especially in the summer months when it gets up so early. And it's also recommended that you sleep with your bedroom like 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Um, because if it's too hot, then your body, while you're sleeping, your body is working to cool down versus you put the blankets on and you stay warm. So your body's not fighting to stay warm. But if it's too hot, your body is fighting to cool down while you're sleeping and you're not going to feel rested. Now, we should all, as adults, aim to get 7 to 8 hours of solid sleep every single night. I know for some people, it's a little bit trickier. Some people wake up several times during the night. Some people wake up in the middle of the night to go get a snack. That's crazy to me. Um, some people wake up in the middle of the night and, they can't go back to sleep. So they're back on their phone. So, trying to break those habits so that your body stays asleep for at least 7 hours, as an adult, that's pretty much what we need. And eating healthy, right? Eating at least vegetables with every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, eating a vegetable and a fruit, 3 fruits a day, 6 fruits a day, 5 fruits a day, whatever you can tolerate, but making sure that you're getting enough vegetables, enough fruits, um, eating really good foods, not the processed box foods, because our body, now this is, I'm certainly not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor, but our body fights to break down processed foods because 'cause they're complex, which means more than one ingredient, right? Versus if you're eating an apple, it's one ingredient, it's an apple. If you're eating broccoli, it's one ingredient, it's broccoli. If you're eating chicken, it's one ingredient, it's chicken. Versus if you're eating processed chicken nuggets, I don't even know, it's probably like 25 products in there just to give you a chicken nugget. Versus you taking your chicken breast or chicken thighs, whatever you prefer, you cutting them, you putting the outside on, whatever you want, and you cooking them yourself and making your own chicken nuggets, right? Then it's maybe 2 or 3 ingredients, but they're healthy ingredients. There's egg, some sort of flour or, whatever you put on the outside, right? Um, or you air fry them. Drink or eat as little added sugar as you possibly can. If anything, do not use any added sugar. I have switched to, if I need a sweetener in something, I've actually switched to using maple syrup because it's a pure product. I get the real maple syrup from Vermont, although I brought some home from Canada with me. It's almost gone, sadly. But I get the pure Vermont maple syrup because our bodies can break that down. It's a natural product. It's not a complex sugar that's been refined and manufactured and like all these things. Um, or you can use honey, or a lot of times what I'll do when I need to sweeten something up, I'll either use coconut sugar, or I'll use dates, or I'll make like a date sauce. And, it adds that sweetness that you need, but it's a simple food product that our body doesn't have a hard time breaking down. Um, move your body. Aim to sit less than 4 hours per day. Now, for me, that's hard because most of my job is sitting. Um, so what I do is I get up in between appointments and I either, go downstairs, I get down 2 flights of stairs, I might let the dogs out, but I'm up and out of my chair for at least 9 minutes in between sessions, so that way I'm not sitting hour after hour after hour after hour. But I definitely sit more than 4 hours a day, on most days, just because of the work that I do. So, on the other parts of the day, I make sure that I'm moving. Get a minimum of exercise every single week. The goal is 3 to 4 times a week for most people, and and, as I've gotten older, I've noticed that one of the most important things to do is some sort of strength training because, I wanna be able to get up off the floor when I'm 60, if 65, even 70. If in the event that I find myself on the floor or need to get to the floor for something, I wanna be able to get back up. Um, Incorporate some sort of meditation into your daily or weekly routine. And by meditation, I mean simply shut off all external noise. You could have, like, some calming music on, like, just the melody or like a white noise or a green noise or a brown noise, something like that, and don't be reading anything, don't be listening to anything, don't be responding to anything. Literally, like, disconnect, even if it's for 5 minutes. Sometimes what I'll do, um if sitting, because I do have back problems, so sometimes even sitting in this really comfortable, ergonomically correct chair, my back will get a little twingy, and I'll go over and I'll lay in my bed for, like, 5 minutes, and I'll do some stretches. Um, so that's important. Make time for activities that you enjoy. So many people don't have hobbies, and it blows my mind. There's so much in life that we can do that can be movement for your body and good for your body. Pick something, learn it if you have to. Go if you live someplace where it's not like snowing right now, go do something. Even if you pick up rocks and try to hit a tree, right? That is something. That's some sort of activity that you're moving your body, you're getting outside. It's going to make you feel good when you hit that tree, right? Um, Practice mindfulness with every single task that you are doing. So here's what mindfulness means. Mindful mindfulness means in this perspective, it means being mentally and physically present for what it is that you're doing. Be mentally and physically present if you're doing the dishes, if you're cooking dinner, if you're mopping the floor, if you're taking a shower, whatever it is, right? Be mentally and physically present for what you're doing. And that's really difficult because people have like little thems with running shoes on in their brain and they're like scurrying all around. I gotta do this and I gotta do that. And what if this and blah, 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 right? It's all that noise. If you practice mindfulness, it hones in your thoughts and it brings them into what it is that you should be focusing on, right? If you're cooking dinner, focus on use your senses to be mindful. Use your five senses. If you're cutting something up, like listen to the way it chops, feel the knife in your hand, feel the texture of whatever it is that you're cutting, right? Really learn to hone in on what it is that you're doing and practice mindfulness in everything you do every single day. That is going to decrease how tired you feel because all of those little yous inside of your brain with the sneakers on, there's not going to be any of those because you're going to be focusing all of your energy on what it is that you're doing. If you're eating, put down your phone. Don't be reading. Be present with your meal. Look at the food. Taste the food. Not only the taste, the texture, right? Be purposeful when you're chewing. Feel the sensations in your body. Like practice mindfulness. If if you don't live by yourself, enjoy your meals with somebody else. If you live by yourself, enjoy your meal by yourself and enjoy a lot less dishes. Um, Make time to see your friends on a regular basis. Now, that doesn't mean every single day. That doesn't necessarily mean every single week. But if you could get together with your friends at least once a month, just you, if you're a mom or if you're a dad and you have small kids and you get together with your friends so that all of your kids can play together, that is great. But try to get together with your friends for non-parenting time as much as possible. That's so important. If you have a healthy family and you enjoy their company, stay in contact with them on a regular basis too. Um, Open the windows to your house. If you're even if it's 20 degrees Fahrenheit outside, open your window a smidge. Get out all the sludgy, gross, stale air, right? You don't need to leave it open all day because that's just a waste of heat, but open it a little bit. Like during the winter, even though the heat's on, I sleep with my bedroom window a smidge open because that fresh air, it's good for us when we sleep. It helps me to not really usually get sick. My kids both sleep with their windows open in the winter as well. Not wide open, just open a smidge, right? Um, that fresh air is so good for you. And try to get outside as much as you can to get the natural sunlight. We need sunlight. We need sunlight. Reduce exposure to any sort of toxins possible. Now, what I've done to do that is I've switched over my hey Sharita, um, my in my house, I have stopped using any and all harsh chemicals. I now make all of my own products. I make my own laundry detergent, old school products. It's powder. I make my own toothpaste. Um, I have I make my own shampoo, make my own conditioner, which is like a hair mask. Um, I make my own almond milk. I no longer buy that 'cause there's a lot of unnecessary products in there. So I've switched myself and my kids over to using as many natural products as possible. If I need to clean the bathtub, I clean it with, a solution of baking soda, um, mild soap and vinegar, and, when I have to clean the windows, I make it with an environmentally friendly, non-toxic, usually just some alcohol, some vinegar, some water, to clean the windows, works beautifully. So, just taking it does take a little bit more effort and a little bit more time to prepare those things, but, it's important, right? It's really important. If it's important to you, it's important to me to not use all those harsh chemicals. Reading up on a lot of the things that are in a lot of these products, like they're neurotoxins. No wonder why we're having all of these ailments that we have, right? We're poisoning our bodies with all this stuff. Um, 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Um, for the most part, I always sleep at least 7 to 8 hours straight through. Um, I don't usually get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, as long as I drink water throughout the whole entire day and my body's, flushing as I go and all that stuff, um, I don't usually have to get up to go. So, there's ways to take care of that black stuff, Sharita. Um And obviously, you're not gonna probably get a good night's sleep or a solid night's sleep if you have, young kids because, you know, ailments or babies or whatever kinda they need you throughout the night. So, you're not gonna get a good night's sleep then. But, I would encourage you all to take a good solid look at your life. So many people I speak with, they don't have a hobby. They never see their friends. Um they like their family, but they don't ever see their family. They're just so tired from what they're doing. They're so, blah from what they're doing. And a lot of that comes down to choices that we make in our lifestyle that makes us feel so sluggish. A lot of times just some minor changes can change all that. And I would encourage you all to take a good look at your life, to do a dirty 30 like I'm doing with my dirty 30 gals. Um, and asking yourself some hard questions, taking a look at some things and thinking about them in a different perspective. Um, it's important. It's really important. So, one last thing for today. A lot of, especially women, sorry guys, I'm not purposely excluding you. I just have more conversations with women than I do with men. Um, However, I have had this same conversation with men, just not recently. Most women feel like they put everybody else before themselves. And I know that that comes usually from previous generations teaching us that that is our role in life is to take care of everyone else because we grow children and birth them. Um, but that's not the case. Now, it's very different if you have children at home that are not independent and they do rely on you, right? You do have to take care of them, but it doesn't mean that their needs come before yours. When my kids were little, and I still do it to this day, because I still do take care of them in the morning, and I do pack their lunches every single day, both of my kids. Um, when they were little, I would always make sure I got up an hour before they got up, even if that meant getting up at 4:30 in the morning, which is what I do now. Um, I don't get out of bed at 4:30, but my alarm goes off at 4:30. I get out of bed at 4:45, because I like to take 15 minutes and start my day with some gratitude. Um, so I always got up early, and even though I didn't have to leave the house, because I've, for the most part, with the exception of working at our local hospital, for 4 years, um, for the most part, I've always worked just for myself. So I've never had to get up first thing in the morning and leave the house. But I always got up an hour before I had to wake them up. And it was because I wanted to get out of bed. I wanted to have a nice cup of coffee. I wanted to eat some breakfast. I wanted to maybe take a shower, mostly exercise, and take a shower and read my book. And like, I like to gentle into the day. I've always liked to gentle into the day. Even when I was in high school, I was never one to like roll out of bed with 10 minutes to spare to get to the bus. I always wanted to gentle into the day. Um, and I think it's important to gentle into the day because it sets the pace that today is going to be a calm day. It's gonna be a calm day because I gentled into it. I have a game plan. I know what I'm doing. I set myself up for success. I plan this. I prep this, right? Um, it is true in it. Putting yourself before others is very hard thing to break. And, oftentimes when I talk to parents in particular, or when I talk to adults who are taking care of their adult parents who are maybe elderly, um, or, short term or long term need to care from them for them, roles kind of reverse a little bit, right? So what I hear from a lot of parents is, they're so frustrated, their kids drive them crazy, their mother's driving them crazy, or their father's driving them crazy. You know, the more prepared you are for every single day, the less you'll feel pulled in different directions when people need you for something. You can say no. If you have adult children who need you for something, but you already have plans, tell them no. If you have adult parents who are perfectly independent and they ask you to come over and do something, but you have plans to go away that weekend and you're not going to be around, tell them no. Say, I'm sorry, I'm not able to do that on Saturday. I already have plans. I'm going to be out of town. Is it something that can wait till the next weekend? Or is it something that you must have done? A lot of the times they will say, oh, no, it's not something that needs to get done this weekend, but yeah, we can wait till the next weekend. Or if it needs to get done, maybe it's something you can do before you go away, right? Don't be afraid to say no. Set some good boundaries. Set some healthy boundaries. Yeah, and that it's a tricky one too because, for people who have a healthy family, family is important, right? You want to spend time with them, you wanna see them, you wanna create memories, if you have, grandkids, right? You want to spend time with them, you wanna create memories with them, you want them to know who you are, right? But at the same time, you have to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, what good are you to other people? You're only, like, living half a life, essentially. When you put yourself forward, your self-conscious beats you with the guilt stick. Sharita, it can. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I hear from a lot of people is they feel guilty putting themselves first. Again, think of it this way. If you're putting yourself first and it's not hurting anybody else, where's that guilt coming from? It's probably coming from your own mindset telling you that you're not worthy of doing this thing for yourself. Where does that come from? It comes from somewhere. So, I would encourage you all to take a look at all your relationships. Take a look at the relationship with yourself first and foremost, and take a look at what is it that you do for hobbies? What is it that you wished you had always done? Go start doing it. What is it that you wished you had tried? Go try it. Where is it that you wished you had explored? Plan it and go do it. There's so much to do. especially, well, depending on where you live in the world, there's so much to do. In my area, there's an endless number of things to do at any given time. I understand that's not the case for a lot of people, depending on where you live. So, um, I encourage you all to think about those healthy habits that I talked about and do the checklist. Are you doing all those? If not, how can you start doing some? And have a great week. Annette and Sharita, thank you so much for being here live with me. I really appreciate it. And going to start doing an interview series podcast style, not interview, but a collaboration, I would say. Not interview, but collaboration style podcast. Going to be doing that pretty soon too. Going to be starting to line some people up, probably like starting in November. So that's exciting. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I will be back next Monday.